Hey guys, it's Ronny Creates here, the founder and CEO of Radical Comics and the creator of my original character, All-Star. Now for this particular video, you guys may be wondering, if you haven't already looked at the title yet, what am I doing and what am I going to be talking about? So in this particular video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to color in the software PROCREATE, and I'm going to be showing you the method to my madness. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, so for step one, you need to find the right brush. So typically, I use the marker brush. And so with the marker brush, it allows you to color over your line art. Either you can color in on the same layer that you inked, or you add a layer and under your line art, you color. Another feature you could look at using is drag and drop. Now, you want to make sure you're on the right layer, because if you're on the wrong layer, this could happen. You could drag and drop your entire color behind your line work, and it doesn't even get in within the lines of your work. It would just splash the entire canvas. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you hit the right layer and that there isn't any openings on your line work, because if you also have openings, like say I didn't fill that black in completely, you drag and drop that. Okay, hold on. You drag and drop right here, the entire canvas is going to be covered with that color. So you want to make sure, I'm hitting the undo button by the way, that's your best friend. You want to make sure that you have that color in there and that the opening is closed. You see? And once you have that opening closed, you can just drop your colors in there. You don't necessarily have to color by hand, color the entire thing by hand, but I like to color the entire thing by hand, but just for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna drag and drop a few colors in there. Another tip you could do is, even if after you dragged and dropped your color in there and you still have these white spaces that you can't reach with the color dropper, what you want to do is make another layer under your line art. And once you make another layer under, you can color under your line art and fill in where the white spaces would be. That way, since there's white spaces, you'd be coloring under the spaces that you couldn't reach. And so that is how you hit certain spaces that you're not able to reach because of the drag and drop. And you can also, if you wanted to, you could have used the marker brush to color in those white spaces, but because of the texture of the brush, it smudges, and so like an actual marker, so it smudges like an actual marker. And so if you take your hand off of the screen, off of the canvas, it kind of does this actual like marker imitation. So you just want to make sure that you're mindful of those different things, and I'm going to continue. We colored our flats. Now all flats are the colors, the basic colors that you have laid down in the line art before you put in the detail. So before there's any shadowing, any highlights, this is what flats are. Flats are basically the colors that are already in the drawing, in the line art, and it's just without any extra detail. So yeah, let's move into shadowing and texture and all that stuff, and I'll show you guys the different brushes that I use for texture. Yeah, let's get into it. So before I show you guys how to shade, you also want to make sure that your colors and your flats are cleaned up. You're gonna have some areas that are, you know, have like white blotches and stuff like that, and white spots. You want to go in with your studio pen and fill that in all on the same layer. Fill that in all on the same layer when you're hitting those white spaces that are just terrorizing your artwork. And then once you hit those white spaces, the cleaner your work looks. So before you lay down any details or any shadowing, you want to make sure that your line art and everything looks as clean as you can get it. So that's what I'm doing. Hitting all those white areas that needed to be hit so that it can look more organized, more just look cleaner, you know? And so yeah. Alright, so now for shading, what we're gonna do is we're going to get the color. Now I'll show you guys real quick, I went too fast there. So this is called the color finder. I call it the color finder. So I grab the color from wherever on your drawing. It could be anywhere, because I'm gonna show you guys how to shadow and add shading with a darker shade of that color that you're going to pull. That's how you make your shadows. You never want to make shadows with just straight black unless you're intentionally trying to stylize it and have it be completely black. But shadows are typically just the darker colors of an object or of something that you're looking at. So say for an example, I'm drawing my character's the shadows within his skin, and so whenever you're doing shadows, whenever you're doing shading, you want to make sure that you have a darker color and that you're not using black, because black is just it's no gradient, it's no in between when you're doing the shadows. It's just an immediate cut off of black, and it does not look appealing to the human eye in terms of shading. So unless you're trying to do a stylistic, cartoony way of shadowing, but that's not what we're trying to do for this particular video. So I'm going to show you that with that darker color that I just made, that you're going to choose, you're going to go to the brush. It's a watercolor brush. It's water, and you choose wash. So after you choose wash, watch this. So you choose wash. You choose wash, and you go to particular areas where you know the shadows are going to be. So typically, when you're doing shadowing or shading, you think about where the shadows are going to be. You can even look up pictures of reference. So just so you can know where shadows hit on people. So typically there's a shadow under the nose, shadows under the nose, and it's very subtle, but it adds up. So shadowing under the nose, maybe a little bit under the mask. If you look at his cheeks and his jawline, the shadowing would be hitting his jaw and his cheek. So it's right there. Oops, I don't know what happened right there. Let's see. You see, this is what happens when you draw on 2 different layers. So, quick tip, you want to merge your layers if you have, if you drew under a drawing, you want to merge it so that when you're drawing on top of that layer that you're coloring on, that everything blends easily. And so I just made that mistake from coloring on the wrong layer, but watch this. Now everything looks cleaner, neater, organized. So that shadowing is still there, and I managed to fix that mistake because I colored on the wrong layer. So you want to make sure that you're coloring on the right layer and drawing on the right layer whenever you're doing anything, because you could be coloring on something and or coloring under something, and you want to make sure that when you're choosing the right layer, that's what you're doing, because you can make a big mistake and it just mess up your drawing. So that's why I typically tend to draw on one layer, because I can see everything on top of everything. I don't know what's going on under the drawing whenever I'm trying to shade and stuff like that. So that's why I have to draw on and shade on the layer that already exists, or the first layer that already has color. And so now I'm adding shadows and shading to parts of his forehead and where the wrinkles would be. And so for shadowing, you want to make sure that you pull up a reference. I'm so used to coloring and I'm so used to shading that I know where shadows hit, and I know where the lighting would be at. So I can already imagine where everything's going to be. My Apple Pencil is about to die, so I have to make this quick. I might fast forward this video so you guys can see what's going on without hearing me talk. So I'm gonna do that. Alright, so now to the next step. We're actually going to use the smudging tool. And so for the smudging tool, what you do is you're using the tool to blend the shadows and the shading so that it makes a really nice gradient effect. And it just looks natural, you know, the shadows and stuff and the shading looks natural from light to dark. Instead of like an immediate cutoff of shadow and light, it's like a blending right in the middle. And that really makes a very realistic lighting effect. So yeah, you can use the blending tool, or I call it the smudger, which is the hand at the top of the screen. But yeah. All right, now that we're done blending the shading, now we're going to add the lighting. So let's get into it. Now this is the fun part for me personally. I enjoy a good light pen. Now a light pen is basically used for highlights and making things pop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of the drawing and hit the hot spots where the light will be hitting. Or, you know, in this case, my character has a leather suit, where the parts of the suit would be shiny. And so, yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing. Just going in with the light pen. And you can use the light pen for all sorts of highlights. It doesn't have to be like reflective or shiny things, but just like, you know, if you just want to have a light source, you can use the light pen for that as well. But yeah, this is definitely one of the most satisfying parts of the steps for coloring for me. And visually, when it's all said and done, it just looks amazing. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. If you're still around and interested in more content, like the video and subscribe. I have other social media as well, so check me out there on Ronny Creates and the official Radical Comics Instagram page. And remember, be bold, be daring, and be radical.